Another episode here of Getting There with Gons, where we talk about the career journeys of business owners, media members, athletes, coaches, and more. Art Fredette joined us on this episode. Excited to find out about all the great things that have happened in his career. But for those who don't know, for those who might not be a part of the Capital Region scene, Art, a younger version of you, 6, 7, 8 years old. Where'd you grow up? What'd you want to be as a kid? And was it the same dream job you had when you were 18?
No, I grew up in Troy, Lansingburg section, and I wanted to be a televangelist when I was little.
Whoa.
Well, I figured you could work one day a week, wear some flashy clothes, make a lot of money. It seemed like a good gig. And then I wanted to be a teacher, but I realized I hate children, so I stopped doing that too. It's true. It's so true.
No one has had that's quite that parallel of those two different careers. So you hate kids, you don't want to be a teacher. The one day a week gig sounded pretty good, but I don't think that happened. So when you're 18, what happens? Do you go the college route? What happens for you when they tell you got to get out of high school?
Well, I went to college. It was the best 18 months of my life. And I'm from Troy, so we majored in drinking, and I did there too. Went to SUNY Oswego for broadcasting, and then left that when I was like 19. Ended up, like everybody else, bouncing around jobs. I even put furniture together at Huck Finn's when they were in Latham Circle Mall. That's how old I am. And then went to the New School of Radio and took a $4 an hour job midnights in Amsterdam. Went and started DJing weddings instead. There was money in there.
Well, go back a second. How did you land the midnight $4 an hour shift? How did that all come about?
I just got lucky. I sent my tape in, and the woman who was program director at the time, a woman named Wani, I'd seen her on a lot of shows, like the QE2, Saratoga Winters, and stuff like that. So she knew who I was, and she gave me a shot. And it wasn't a bad gig, except it was costing about $10 a week to work there. Driving to Amsterdam from Troy and back in my 68 Bel Air was very expensive, and I just decided this isn't for me.
So you get out of that gig. You mentioned the wedding scene. Some people I know, whether it be radio, television, even media members, they run away from the weddings because there's much pressure, and I put air quotes on that, there might be on being on air. Weddings, that's it. Like, that's the day. That is the bride day for the entire life for some people. That is the most important day of their lives. No pressure going to the wedding scenes or any horror stories through your time working that circuit?
Oh yeah, I've been working on a book for about 10 years called I Was at Your Wedding, about all the stuff I've seen go wrong. But I went into it like I do most things. I had no clue. I just took a shot. And I went into it, and I started out doing, these little weddings for people that I met like at the biker bars I was DJing at the time. So there's no pressure really, and learned my craft, and did that for until 2007. As well as, other jobs and things like that. But yeah, it's, you play Mustang Sally, you play Celebration, Paradise by the Dashboard Light, Aunt Sally with $50 in the card and some rubber chickens, very happy. And you go home. It's not free beer. It's not terrible.
You're at the party. People are in a good mood. It's good stuff. Right.
As long as you do a good job, you get out of there alive.
It truly is. And hopefully for some of the times, the people remain married and love is in the air and all those good things.
I did 3 of one guy's weddings for him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was nice. He actually said to me after the second one, "You can do all my weddings." I'm like, dude, you need to stop. But, what are you going to do? He wanted to pay me. I wanted to be there. What the hell?
So we see this whole wedding layout and what's happening. But I started to get familiar with you because of the Capital Region music scene. Isn't there a difference here, especially with the things you did in Troy, where whether it's bands, whether it's musicians, whoever it is, this is kind of what some people may know you as, is that music scene in Troy.
Well, yeah, I got lucky. When I was a teenager, Jim Barrett was doing Kaleidoscope on WRPI. And I was friends with his daughters. And he decided to take, my father said, "Would you take the kid up? He likes music. Take him up to the radio show and let him see what's going on." And I went with him one Monday night, and then ended up going for the next 18 years with him every Monday night. And we had an incredible time. Now he's on my station with his show. So it's kind of full circle. It's great. And then through that started, booking bands and getting involved with promotions. And it just kind of mushroomed, then eventually owning bars. And honestly, I realize now I only owned bars so I could book bands. It really, I mean, not the best way to approach the bar business, but that's really, in the end, I realized I just liked booking bands. And if I could book the bands I like somewhere and see them for free every weekend, maybe make a couple shekels, it wasn't so bad.
That was the whole mindset getting into the bar business was, hey, I've got all these relationships. I know all these people. I have a place for them to play. I have a venue. It's going to bring in. That was the whole thought then for the bar business.
Pretty much. I mean, I opened a bar. I didn't know how to bartend. Had no idea. Never been behind a bar. Was lucky enough to have some friends who were veterans, and they learned me up quick. But it was really all about just booking a place to book bands and have some fun. And that led to its own pitfalls, but it was a great experience.
Was there an evolution of the type of music you've been associating with, dealing with? Because that's what I've always talked to with a lot of people, whether it be on radio or working with music, that maybe your taste in music of now to 10 years ago to 30 years ago is completely
absolutely
changed. Have you seen yourself evolve like that as well?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. When I went to do radio with Jimmy for the first time, he said, bring a few records. So I brought a Springsteen, a Doors, a Bowie, and I think it was, there was the three I brought, right? And they're all good artists, don't get me wrong. But it was like, what you heard in the high school parking lot, back when Pix was interesting and still like a big force in the area. And Q104, EQX had just come on the air. So I listened to that. And then when I went up there, suddenly jazz and folk and punk and blues and stuff you never get fed to you on the air around here. Just boom, my head just exploded, So I went through phases. You went through a noise rock phase like Sonic Youth and all that stuff for a while. And I visited still occasionally. I love it. It's still great. But now it's more about not one genre, just what catches my ear and what I view as good.
No, it totally makes sense. And I think, especially when you mentioned Pix there, it's one of the most interesting things here in the capital region that's very unique to this area, where we saw this evolution of music where if it's good and people respond to it. And I've heard that from so many people too. And I'm not trying to pick on Pix by any stretch, but I don't think people in upstate New York who aren't from Albany understand decades ago the impact of a station like Pix and other people you just mentioned had across like this entire landscape of the area.
Well, it's funny because like when Pix came out, they were everywhere, 2-3 events a day. They were playing, a wide variety of what was the music of the time. Now it's classic rock, 2,500 songs in the rotation. Then you had QBK, where it was more like pure FM and anything went. The Hump Day Unusual Moment and Martha and the Muffins and stuff like that would play, and then EQX popped on the scene. And nobody was playing Joan Armatrading and The Cure and things like that. I mean, most of the people I went to high school with never heard of the psychedelic first, so they went to see Pretty in Pink, but
right.
It was there on the airwaves. So it helped people get into music that was, beyond all that. And then the suits came in, and other than EQX, formats started shrinking. And they started getting down to 300, 400 songs. These are the ones the focus group says is good. And the creativity disappeared. I mean, it just evaporated. Classic rock, you're never going to hear Traffic on a classic rock station. Why? They're classic rock. They're good. I mean, Steve Winwood, what the hell, right? You'll hear Valerie 9 times a day, but you won't hear Low Spark High Heel Boys for a week or ever, so they just kept shrinking. And honestly, I think in a lot of ways, that's what's killing terrestrial radio.
That answer exceeded my expectations. I had a feeling you were to give me what I wanted, but that was far better than I had hoped. And I hope some people like you and I are definitely, we understand this format. We get this whole evolution of media, and it's a perfect segue for me because you left me like perfect right on the plate for me about this change from terrestrial radio to what the future might look like. So this is the opportunity. Our visual side already sees it. Take us through RadioRadioX, what it is, how it started, the origin, and where it's going now to 2021.
Well, it's kind of a convoluted thing. So it all goes back to Kaleidoscope to start. A lot of our format is based on what Jimmy taught me on Kaleidoscope at 15. But I worked for QBK, I worked for Pix and GY, and I ended up at Empire Broadcasting. Met with them, and they decided to take a shot on doing a completely non-traditional format. So we did 106.1 The X. And we started out with 0 listeners, like every station does. And then by the end of the third book, the third time through the ratings, we're like a 1.9 share, which was unheard of for them because they had the power of a Christmas light for a station. But we were catching on. It was giving people something what they wanted. And then it all just went belly up. It just evaporated. And I looked at my wife. I said, I can go back in the bar business, or I can go do this internet radio station idea I have. And my wife looked at me and said, tell me about internet radio. Because, the idea of not coming home for 2-3 days at a time from the bar business and having to leave every family dinner for a broken cooler or a fist fight or something. Yeah, boom. So I took the idea that we had with the X and basically had the whole format because myself and the guy named Dave Decker had, built the format. I had all that music. And then I said, well, what if I took this to the logical next step where because it's the internet, there's no FCC. You can play songs the way they're meant to be heard. You don't have to worry about the occasional F-bomb or the S word or something like that. You don't want to beat people over the head with it, but you don't have to bleep who the F are you out of who are you.
Right.
You can let it play. You can play the Pogues saying what they say. And we took the shot and we went on the air. And it's been just like yourself, building a media company and working your butt off every day and trying to convert people, get them off their presets. They're on their phone for everything else. They may as well be on the phone for us.
Well, there's the challenge right there, right? The presets, if you want to talk about habits, whatever it might be. I look at this non-traditional format, non-radio, non-TV, newspaper, all that stuff. And again, there's an audience, there's a value. I totally understood. But it's just as simple as putting your seatbelt on. Okay, if you're going to plug your phone in your car, it's going to another website, whatever it might be. And maybe you've gone through this, and maybe this is especially great for college students, young people who are media members. There is this initial frustration, I think, for guys like you and I and others that are in this format that they're like, well, I do it this way. Well, give it a shot. Try it. Oh, you're on radio, internet, you're on a podcast. It's almost as if there's always going to be that audience that isn't going to give it a shot. And I think you've seen this firsthand where once you come over and try it, once you do it, you're like, this is better. This is better. There's no rules. There's no restrictions.
Not yet. Hopefully there won't be any anytime soon either. And, the thing is, too, is I'm old. I'm 55. Okay. So I came to this. I wanted to do this 15 years ago when I first heard about internet radio, but never got to it. And I talked to my friends, people my age. Well, I listen to Spotify and Pandora. I'm like, well, they're internet radio stations.
Right.
And, well, I pay for this so I can do this. Well, I'm free. You got to listen to a couple commercials here and there because you got to pay the bills. But the point is, it's local, it's free, it's a wide variety. Give it a shot. Well, I do that, or I have satellite. Once again, you're paying for it, and you're still not getting the quality of what a local guy can do. Guys like yourself and like myself, we're kind of ahead of the curve a little bit, especially in this area. We're a little parochial around here, but like you said, the younger generation, sub 35, they're all about it. The new cars coming out, some of them aren't even coming out with radios. They're strictly a hotspot, and you run your phone through a Bluetooth, and that's it. So there's a lot of, there's potential.
The biggest compliment that you've been able to see from this feedback, and I'm sure it's from the listeners and the people that follow it, and that itself is gratifying enough, but not once, not twice, 3 times are in a row. You guys, RadioRadioX, have been named the best radio station by the Daily Gazette here in the Capital Region. Not something on terrestrial, not something on YouTube. You guys, and trust me, I noticed. I told you before the interview, I'm like, twice, 3 times. How many times are you guys going to beat all these other radio stations? What did it mean for you, maybe the first time in comparison to the other two, to be rewarded by the people here in the Capital Region for what you guys are putting out?
Well, it's humbling. Okay. First time I'm like, yeah, all my friends got behind me and voted. It's a reader's poll. And, okay, great. Very psyched. Love it. It means a lot. It means a lot more to me coming from readers or regular people than it does like a Illuminati group that votes and says you're special. But then the second time I'm like, wow, okay, because I didn't push hard or anything, and we won. And I look over to some of the people we beat, and these are heritage stations with 50,000 watt sticks and sales forces. And then when it happened again this year, I'm like, all right, I'm going to be heartbroken if it doesn't happen again. But it also makes you want to work harder. It makes you want to keep pushing, and it shows that it's not for naught. Because, we do our shows and we do our things, and you're in a room by yourself talking into a microphone. And you're like, is there anybody even out there? You wonder that on any radio station, but like this especially, is there anybody even out there? And to win that, especially, Schenectady, which I'm a Troy boy. Schenectady is the other side of the world. It's fun when something like that happens. And like I said, it's very humbling because these are people taking time to vote themselves. In the market, it would be called the double opt-in. They had to find the thing and then they had to vote for you. And that's huge. It's like I said, we just want to make sure that they keep liking us and we keep earning their praise.
I'm sure that's going to continue to happen. Do you see the interactive audience, the audience that cares more about your product? They want to support you. That is the most exciting part about this format, is that you see it firsthand and what it happens. And you're talking about, I felt that before, talking to the abyss, I say.
Mm-hmm.
You know somebody's listening, but sometimes, especially in radio, you don't know. Maybe you hope. But in this format, you get to see that happen, and excited for you guys to see what happens in 2022. Yeah, you're going to feel like a coach, by the way, that I know I practiced hard enough. Did we win the championship? You're going to feel like an actor at the Oscars. Was my movie not good? Just because I had the sports setup right there, I know someone's going to ask this question. I didn't even mention this early on. Your name is Art Fredette.
Mm-hmm.
For those outside of the capital
Yes.
region, Jimmer Fredette, is there any relation?
Yeah, he's a cousin somewhere.
Okay.
There's not a whole lot of Fredettes. We're very prolific as far as, offspring goes, but it all starts from just a small family up in Rouse's Point, New York, and a group of brothers who all just moved to other places. My grandfather.
So you can't shoot 3-pointers like Jimmer Fredette, though?
I am your quintessential short, fat guy. I can't shoot a hoop to save my life. I mean, Jimmer probably at 8 years old could have outshot me if he wanted to.
Well, back to RadioRadioX, for those who are like ready to cash in their tickets. Like, I knew it was his uncle. I knew it was his dad. No. We made you wait a little bit into this podcast. So 2022, you mentioned that the award is something that's definitely on the eyes because now the bar has been set there. What else? We're taping this, by the way, in late November 2021. Goals for you guys for 2022 and beyond for RadioRadioX.
Well, always increase listenership, get better at what we do. Our international reach is insane. I want to grow that. I want to start targeting more of the metropolitan areas in not only New York State, but in the U.S. We have a big listenership in New York. We do well in Boston. I want Houston. I want Austin. I want L.A. LA. I want it all. I mean, it's the whole idea is to keep moving forward. Always keep moving forward. You can't ever rest. I mean, that's something that's going to sound cheesy coming out of my mouth, but that's Walt Disney's biggest thing was keep moving forward. He did okay for himself.
He did.
Yeah,
he did just fine at Disney.
They pretty much own everybody and everything. So I think they own us if we're not careful. Or they could buy me. Disney, I'm here. I'm for sale. Why not? I could do cruise boats. But yeah, it's just keep moving forward. We have our paper aspect to what we do, and to make that bigger and better and add more shows, add more people on the air, just always trying to improve. Well, I want to strive for excellence. We'll never get there because every time you start getting to a certain point, the bar moves farther out, but that's okay. It just gives you something to work towards.
Don't settle. Don't be satisfied.
Complacency is the worst word in the world.
That's exactly right. Xperience Monthly, by the way, the name of the paper. For those who haven't had the chance to follow that, where can we find it? What can we expect when that comes out?
Well, it's the December issue just came out. You can read it digitally on the website if you can't find a physical copy. They are all over. I mean, from Saratoga to Selkirk, from Amsterdam to Berlin, New York, and everywhere in between. I pretty much hand deliver every copy to every stop myself because I can't let go of the baby yet. I can't trust anybody to watch my kid. Right. And I'm a control junkie when it comes to that stuff. And the window time doesn't bother me. We do a bunch of local coverage in it. We try not to cover just music. We cover arts, we cover film, we cover authors. We grabbed some bigger names. This month we got lucky. We had Kenny Aronoff from John Cougar's band. He's born in Albany. Who would know? Steve Conti from the New York Dolls and plays with Michael Monroe. He's a Utica guy. So of course we asked him which is better, pizza or tomato pie. And he was very nice about it and didn't really answer the question. They're both good at their own time. But, that's the type of stuff we try to do. We just try to reach out and give people a voice. It's, from the scene, by the scene, in the scene type deal. I modeled the paper on Andy Warhol's Interview magazine. As opposed to writing about things, let's talk to people, let them talk to us, have a conversation. And it served us well.
I love it. I cannot continue to wait and forward to all the 2022 issues on the way and more, and some exciting interviews. Oh, just one as well. Facebook, social media. Where can people follow you? The internet, all that great stuff. Make sure you're writing this down, by the way. We're going to share this on our social media side too. So if you're watching on YouTube, go there. Information's underneath. But I'm just going to let Art do his thing as well.
We have the Xperience Monthly Facebook page. We have the RadioRadioX.com Xperience Facebook page. We have Instagram. We tweet. We have the website, which is www.radioradiox.com. That can get you everywhere. That gets you to our players. It gets you to back issues of the paper, our blog, programming lineup, all that stuff. It's all right there. It's a great site. Came in second in the readers poll.
That's right.
The Gazette this year. I'm gonna crow about this. We came in behind the Gazette for best website. And okay, it was their poll. They're going to win, of course, and the paper came in third, second year in a row for newspapers behind the TU and the Gazette. Now they're 100,000 copies a month, and they're a daily. We're 5,000 a month. My band of misfit music lovers and writers that help out, and myself, and I'll take it. I'll come in third behind them every time. I'll be the Wendy's of newspapers.
I just can imagine you just like all your stuff's plastered on a Wendy's here in the capital region. That's the new saying for 2020. What is this
for the Wendy's of local media?
That's right. The RadioRadioX. I can get a Frosty from these guys. This is incredible. Can't believe it.
$1.99 chicken nuggets.
That's right. That's right. The best advice for somebody who's listening to this. This is one of my favorite parts of this podcast, that whether you're 18 to 22 and you've seen the evolution here across the media landscape, if someone wants to do what you're doing, working with musicians, paper, website, online radio station, what's your best advice for someone launching this maybe right after they listen to this show?
Just do it. I mean, sometimes life is as simple as a Nike commercial. Just do it. I mean, I had no idea how to do this. So I just went out and took a shot, and I made a lot of mistakes. I've been lucky enough to have some good people with me and help me out, but made a lot of mistakes, but I just went and did it because why not? The newspaper, I woke up one January night and said, I'm going to do a newspaper. 2 weeks later, the first issue was out, sold on concept and profitable. Had no idea. You know what? You got Google, use it. Just go out and do it. If you let fear get in the way of everything or anything in your life, you're not going to succeed. Failures are not a bad thing. You don't learn from success. You learn from failures. And I got a bunch of them. And I'll have more. But you just got to take the shot and do it. And the thing about this area especially is there are so many cool little niches, whatever, that you can work, that you can do your own thing and not have to go head to head with everybody else. There's a great local paper called True Brew Magazine. They come out every other month. They do only beer and they own it. They just went national. That's an inspiration. Two people that knew what they were doing went out and took a shot. We had Metroland in the past. We had The Source. We had Buzz Magazine. We had all that stuff. And I saw a need and I said, what the hell, go for it. And that's all I would say to anybody is just go for it. Be prepared to work. Be prepared to not make any money. Be prepared to have people doubt you and tell you you're nuts. And then people tell you everything you're doing is wrong. But just stay true to the ideal and keep working. I have staff members that tell me I'm doing things wrong.
That's okay, though. They'll continue to find out the struggle and the grind and everything else. Before we even started this tape and connected, it was about a week ago, we talked about the grind and how early the alarm clock goes off and how
Oh, yeah.
sometimes the clock is still ticking even though you haven't gone to sleep yet. And there's nothing wrong with that, because if you're passionate about what you do and you want to put the real effort into it and you want to see the real success, those things are going to happen, hopefully, if you continue to do that right mindset. I love that advice, Art. Art Fredette, RadioRadioX.com for more information. Xperience Monthly. Check out below on our YouTube and the info. Spotify and Apple, the information is going to be there as well. Art, thank you so much. I know you're super busy.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
you. Yeah, no doubt, man.
Thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
No doubt.